welcome to Escritorio Magazine Reviews, chapter number 3. We are now with Ignea, a very good band from Ukraine. It's one of the best melodic bands from Ukraine right now. We have Hel, the vocalist. She shared her time and we had a chat, a very interesting chat about what's going on with Ignea right now, and I hope you like it, okay? So stay tuned.
Esta vez con una de las mejores bandas de Ucrania, el conjunto de metal melódico Ignea. Su vocalista Hel nos ha dado una fabulosa entrevista y espero que la disfruten.
First, let me thank you for your time. I know you're about to release the. But we're gonna talk about that later. But I guess you should be. I mean, you and the band should be busy, right? And thank you so much for this opportunity. Okay, we are huge fans of the bands, and then for us, it means a lot for us. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Me too. Copy and paste. Okay. Thank you so much.
How was the beginning of the band? Did you do like something related to, because I couldn't find music from your previous band and internet. So I want to know if you were like playing the same kind of music or it was a breakdown when you for Ignea.
Well, actually, if you go to our discography and you see Sputnik EP, it was actually recorded when we were Parallax, but then we just, re-uploaded it under Ignea so that we have it, all our music is under this new name. And basically, I'd say that the main difference between Ignea and Parallax is that back with Parallax, we didn't mean anything serious with the band. So it was more like a hobby. And Eugene was the one to start the band. And we had, some lineup changes. I joined as a vocalist. And I always say that I was the one, to push the guys into the studio because mostly they were more interested in simply rehearsing and everything. So, and I just felt that there is a potential. So, yeah, but, after we changed our title to Ignea, things started moving on more seriously because we also released one of the most popular songs with the orchestra. And then it was like a snowball of getting a fan base, and this is how everything moved on.
So you was the responsible or the one who encouraged the guy to change the name?
Well, it was, it's usually there are two main people who make decisions in the band. It's me and Eugene, just because like we are the one who manage the band in terms of like technical stuff and all the strategic stuff. So I don't know, we just felt that it was a very good time to change the name. And also like the main reason was because there were like 60 other bands called Parallax back then.
Yeah.
And we just understood that if we wanted to make it more serious, it would be very hard with the promotion, you know, and all the trademarks and stuff. So we needed a more unique name, and maybe a name that would also match us more, you know, because with Parallax, it was a cool name, but you just saw our band and it wasn't Parallax. So, yeah.
Okay, with Sputnik, I mean, we come from Cuba, no? And for us, we were under the Russian propaganda with the Sputnik, because Sputnik was a magazine that they sell in our country. I don't know if they sell it or they just give it away to people. And it was translated in Spanish. It was kind of a Russian propaganda. And my question is, when you named this song like that, it was because of you were having kind of certain Russian influences, or is something different?
No, it's absolutely different. It was like this EP is very related to space and, you know, flights to space, Mars and stuff. And Sputnik is actually a song about the first artificial satellite that the USSR shipped to space. So it doesn't have anything to do with Russian propaganda or anything, because back then Ukraine was also part of the USSR, you know, and it's just about the history, nothing more.
How do you remember the reaction of the crowd or the fans with this EP?
When we released Sputnik, we didn't have much of the fan base. So it's very hard to say. And even nowadays, when people start listening to Ignea, they sometimes don't know, they don't see Sputnik on the radar. So it's not a very popular release. But for example, in our store, we sell our discography, and people usually buy, like, it's the bestseller in our store. And that's why they get these CDs and then they listen. But, you know, this is not something that people start from when they mostly. But, you know, I think that things started to get like more serious with the Sign of Faith album, because it's like the first full-length album and everything. So Sputnik, I think Sputnik is more for our like biggest fans who like pretty much everything. Sputnik is a song, for example, that really goes very well on live shows even now. So from all the songs from this EP, we usually, if we have time on our set list, we make sure to include Sputnik, because it's really, it just drives the crowd as crazy, even if they haven't heard it before.
I remember once I talked to Christopher Johnson from Therion, and he told me that they were not as followed in their own city. They were more followed outside the city. What about Ignea? So what about your fan base? It comes from your city, from your country, or all over Europe or other countries?
No, I'd say that if we take like our fan base, 95% is not from Ukraine, maybe even more. So it's like approximately 40% from the United States and Canada, maybe 10-15% from Australia, and the rest is Europe. And if we make a show here in Kiev and somewhere in Germany, we will gather more people in Germany than here.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, it's maybe also because, for example, metal is more underground here, but in Germany, it's one of the most listened genres, you know, so it's absolutely understandable. And they also have, for example, a lot of magazines, a lot of radio stations. So there is an industry built around metal.
ruthless bastards step on my land? How dare you touch my daughters and sons? This will be your last steps unless you turn your two-headed eagle into your hands and run!
Hey, let's talk about Elgia. So is this the first song that you guys recorded with an orchestra? And how you guys came out with this idea?
The song is called Elgia, and I don't know, it was written together with orchestra, like from the very beginning. So Eugene wrote the song, and there was a huge part for the orchestra. And it was just a coincidence because one of our acquaintances offered us to record it with the orchestra because he had a project with an orchestra. And it wasn't intentional. This is just how it happened. And we also didn't want to shoot the video for it because, we didn't have enough money and everything. But in the end, we just thought that it would be very strange not to record it because it's like 40 people sitting and playing your music. So you just have to capture it. And in the end, it's actually our cheapest video. So we paid for it like $500 and that's it. So it's like, it doesn't look like that, but it's actually like the cheapest video. Yeah, I guess 6-7 million. Yes. And actually like, if you like type in symphonic metal on YouTube, it's like on the first page. So it was simply because people liked it and they just spread it quite a lot. And then YouTube decided that this is a video that it should recommend to people. So we didn't have any budget for promotion back then. So it was simply the word of mouth.
You consider this song made the band's name bigger and open to more audience?
Yeah, it's actually still, I think that this is one of the songs, the top 3 songs that brings us still the majority of new listeners.
But you didn't film this like together with the orchestra, right? It was you on a location and the orchestra at a different location?
Yeah, it was just several locations because this was more comfortable to shoot for us, and we had only several hours to film the orchestra and record, because when we were filming it, they were also recording the sounds for the song. So it would be not good if we played there as well, because we had to be silent absolutely to record it all, to use it in the song. So that's why.
What did I say about your guttural voice? Because they are more like classical musicians, right? And then your clean voice is awesome. But what about when they listen to your guttural voice?
Yeah, but they actually in this song you can hear me screaming like only one word, and hear it before. So they just got what they had to play, and that's it. So still, they, I know that, for example, orchestras in Europe, they enjoy metal in they can listen to metal, because here people are really classical musicians, they like classical music. But still, I know that like the parts for the orchestra were well written, so that's why there weren't any real problems with that.
So I want to go into Saitano at Barn. Tell me, I want to know from you, what about the Muslim community in Ukraine? So is it a big community?
No, it's actually absolutely not a big community, especially compared to countries like France and Germany, and I think the US as well. But I can say that, of course, it's a song with a provocative title, but still, like, wherever we can, we write a disclaimer that it's actually against terrorism. So, so to say, we were quite afraid to release it, you know, because we were nervous and everything.
It's very great from you, because it's a very powerful statement. I mean, for Muslims, when they say Allahu Akbar, so it's a very powerful statement.
Yes, yeah. But this is mostly because we have quite a lot of Middle Eastern influences in our music in terms of melodies. And that's why we chose like Shaitan Akbar, because we write everywhere that it could be about any religion, because there are terrorists everywhere. And it's also about politics and beliefs, like whatever. But I can say that, for example, even if you read the comments on YouTube, there are some Muslims who explain the meaning of the song to other Muslims. So like Muslim people who really can read and who read lyrics and disclaimers, and they dig into the song, they love this song, and they still believe in their God. So it's about, but of course I understand, for example, if we come to play to Turkey, I wouldn't be playing this song there, because I don't want to hurt the feelings of people who for some reason wouldn't understand that.
Your Middle Eastern influence in music, so you can tell in your music, you know very clearly. Could it be considered a band like Orphanland an influence?
Yes, absolutely. So Eugene is the one to write quite all of the music in the band, and he is a huge fan of these Middle Eastern influences, and Orphanland was also quite an influence for him. And actually, we have this song, Petrichor, and it was recorded together with ex-guitarists of Orphanland. And we invited him as a guest musician back when he was the part of Orphanland, but then he just parted ways and everything. And we also opened for Orphanland here in Kiev. So
it's almost unbelievable because your music is so good and you were still with a record company behind you. So how was that second album? And how was the relationship with the patrons?
We're talking about the Realms of Fire and Death, and by that time we had already quite a following online, and I started Patreon just for myself to post something that is not related to the band. But then I just got the idea that we have quite a lot of fans. We don't have a recording company. So it was kind of a crowdfunding project. But, you know, I'm very active on Patreon. So I post every week something. And in December, it's going to be for 3 years. So I'm a very consistent content maker, so to say. And yeah, and we were really surprised pleasantly that quite a lot of people joined our Patreon, and we really managed, I guess, in less than 1 year, we gathered funds to record The Realms of Fire and Death and also to shoot 2 videos. So Gene Slammer and Disenchantment videos are also made with the funds of patrons. And I was also very pleasantly surprised that even after this release, people still stayed to support us. So they are still supporting us, and they're joining like every week, every month. Of course, people come and go because it also depends on their financial capabilities. But I mean, it's a very cool community out there.
How was this deal? How this deal come up to an end? I mean, like, how do you get this deal with Napalm Records?
So we weren't looking for a particular deal. So they contacted us, and for 1 week, we were negotiating with each other, and we thought that it was a very good timing for us to try a record deal because we already have, you know, our fan base, and they also have some tools and the network, and it's also a big name in the industry. So like I always say that any record deal, it should be mutually beneficial for both the band and the label. So that's why I think that something good can come out of this deal. And yeah, we'll see how it goes, because the release that we're doing this year, like the Bestia EP, it's going to be still independent. And then next year we will release the first album with Napalm Records. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
So this deal is only for one album, or? Sorry.
Well, I actually cannot disclose this because it's part of the contract yet. But in any case, like next year, you will hear an album from us released through Napalm Records.
Napalm Records, yeah. And let's go into this Bestia. Why name it that in Spanish? Huh?
Well, I know that a lot of guys.
I mean, Bestia is a strong word. I mean, even in Spanish, but
yeah. Well, it's awesome because, like in Ukrainian, there is a word bestia. So it's.
What does it mean? It means the same?
I don't know. So it means like it means.
It's a beast, like a savage
beast, but it also has a meaning of a mischievous person. You know, so it's like both. That we have, and that's why I wanted to use this name, because in our album it is about like Ukrainian mythological creatures, but we show the human nature of their side, so that's why it really fits it. And I also like that even if it is in Ukrainian, a lot of people around the world, they can understand what the meaning of this title is. You see, like
back to Bestia a little bit. Okay, you have the other band, you said that you've been like friends for 10 years. Would you mind talking about that band and points of contact with Ignea?
Yeah, sure. It's like they are really our friends. They've been so for a very long time, and we really have very similar tastes for music and similar tastes of music that we write. So when we share these demos with each other, it really goes well, and sometimes it sounds as if it was taken like from one album. And it was actually during the pandemic, we visited them because we usually do, they live in another city, but we see each other every year. And, you know, we just released The Realms of Fire and Death, and we had a few songs that were going well together, but we didn't have the rest of them. And just, I had this idea that we could make a split release so that they could finally release something, because they were silent for a very long time. They were occupied with different musical projects, but they didn't release anything as a metal band. So I just, I thought, why not? And this is how this release was born. So Napalm Records contacted us after we already recorded these songs. That's why it's an independent release.
How the society of Ukraine, you know, came along came together and removed the communist ideology. So if you can talk about that.
Well, I'd say that, you know, even like my parents and grandparents, they spent most of their lives in the USSR. So even now, like, of course, they are very Europe oriented, but still it's very hard for people to change, because, you know, it was a regime.
It was
and
many years,
yeah, but I'd say that maybe like if you take the young generation, like I'm getting 30 this year. I never lived in the USSR, and I mean, I'm always looking west. So, and I've been to Europe for so many times that I cannot even imagine like all this communism and why it should be and everything. So the more people travel and they see like this, I don't know, democratic regime, democratic values, they just try to implement it here. So the more we started traveling, the better. And yeah, I think like it may sound very dark, but like people who lived in the USSR, they slowly die. I mean, they are dying out, and their values also start dying out. And also, for example, my parents, they saw this deficit of a lot of things, and they just understand that independent Ukraine can give them more than the USSR did. So I think that it's just a matter of time and seeing what other communities can bring.
I was hoping for your best metal album, I mean, for 2022 with Napalm Record, because I know you're gonna be distributed massively. You know, it's gonna be more people can listen to and have access to your music. And this is my hope. I hope you compose your best album for this 2022 record. I mean, the ones that are you working on it now?
Yeah, it's actually, I'd say that half of it is ready in terms of instrumental stuff. And actually now it's one of the most busy times for us, because I'm also, for example, yesterday I wrote lyrics to one of the songs like within an hour, and I made a vocal demo for it as well. And I can say that the next album will be probably the biggest guitar oriented album for us. So it's like less with the electronic stuff and everything, but I mean, we always still have like this small element. Napalm didn't put any pressure on us. We just agreed for a certain date that it's going to be like, you have to understand that it's not only the music that has to be ready. You have to come up with photo shoots and videos and artworks and like merch and everything before a certain deadline. And if before we could make it like more flexible, we cannot do it right now. And it's also we are interested in that. We are interested to start working with napalm as soon as possible. So that's why there is a small pressure, but we hope that we will manage.
Let's wrap up. Let's end the interview in a happy note. Hey guys, what do you do when you are not recording, doing music, touring, or quarantine? What do you do for fun? What do you do, you know, as a group?
How do you get together? Do you hang out?
Well, I'd say that we are kind of the band that doesn't usually like hang out. So for us to spend time with each other, like touring is the best time when we get along. Because like when we're back at home, like everybody has its own lives, but like Eugene and I, we live together and we've been living together for 10 years. So we're pretty much seeing each other every day. But like with the band, we usually rehearse like once a week. And yeah, we stay in touch, but we don't hang out every day. And for example, I don't have any other job, so I'm really all into managing Ignea, and it's actually a lot of work, not related to music at all. I mean, it's usually like all this merch stuff.
Social network, that's crazy.
Yes, yes. So yeah, but I really hope that, you know, before the pandemic, it was the time when we finally started touring, and it's just everything went on pause. And I just hope that with the next album, we will just spend more time on tour, and this is how we will hang out with the guys more. So yeah.
And what about Kiev? What would you recommend about your city if we go there and visit in terms of music and metal shows or venues?
Well, again, it's not very much because during the pandemic, we had quite a few venues closed. But as far as I know, this year there's going to be like 2 or 3 clubs opening for this kind of shows. So I'd say that, I don't know, it's like, maybe Kiev is not like the best in terms of visiting metal shows, but we really have a very beautiful city. And we have quite a lot of, you know, cool architectural buildings, a lot of places to eat, very diverse food, a lot of shops, and a lot of, you know, local communities that you can hang with. And that's why sometimes Kiev is called like the second Berlin and everything. So it's like, it's quite a lot of things to do here, but it's like not in terms of metal show. So even we, for example, Eugene and I, we usually fly somewhere to Europe to watch the bands play. Yeah.
Oh, okay, thank you so much one more time for your time. Okay.
So
something that I want to share with your followers. So anything that comes to your mind now?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for supporting us, even though we're not touring. Thank you for sharing our music. Stay healthy, and I really hope that we will meet each other soon at our new shows. And our album Bestia comes out on October 21. Sorry?
Is the 21 or the 22nd?
21. Yes, and so there is a pre-order on our website, and or even if you don't want to make the pre-order, save the date and you can listen to it on YouTube on October 21st.
Okay, thank you so
one more
much. Time, okay.
It's
enjoyed this interview. We enjoyed it a lot. Hale was very she was very engaged in the interview, and we really liked the way it went out. We thank the band and Hale so much because we know they are really busy recording the new album that is going to be released through Napalm Record next year. So I want you to drop by their website. They are selling some merch, and also go to our subscribe to this YouTube channel, and also go to we also have a website, and we also have a store, it's Victoria Magazine store. So just stop by and look around, okay? If you like it, it's fine.
Solo agradecerle a Hale por concedernos esta entrevista. Están grabando el material para su próximo disco que saldrá a través de Napalm Record, y la banda está bien ocupada y hicieron un espacio y nos dieron esta entrevista. Muchísimas gracias, Ignea. Vamos a solo recomendarle su último material, Bestia. Está en todas sus plataformas, y también decirles que pueden pasar por la página de Scriptorium Magazine, www.scriptoriummagazine.com. Ahí tenemos mercancía disponible, tenemos pullovers, tenemos las revistas en físico, y también tenemos un split de Septarium, donde 6 agrupaciones cubanas hacen tributo a esta banda. También tenemos pullovers. Pasen por ahí, denos un like y también suscríbanse a nuestro canal. Mientras más se suscriban, más tiempo podemos dedicarle a este proyecto. Muchísimas gracias.
You hide in peace, but disappear in grief.